This is Tin Caps Baseball on 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM.
Welcome back, everybody, to Tin Caps on Deck, the Tin Caps pregame show brought to you by Hoopy Insurance Services. Tin Caps back home this week to start the final 2 weeks of home play here in 2026. Coming back from what some would say was an unbelievable road trip to the Quad Cities section of Iowa and Illinois. This being Tuesday, we get to chat with the Tin Caps skipper, Jonathan Mathews. And the first question I will ask you in a little bit of retrospect, what was last week really like?
I live in Iowa, and I mentioned off the air a minute ago, I didn't think I'd ever be happy to leave Iowa, but I was. It was tough. It was a tough week. The weather was tough. We had a power outage that canceled a game. When the power came back on, the tarp was on the field, and the sprinkler system kicked on underneath the tarp. That canceled the next day's game. It was just, all things considered, it was a tough week.
0-5. Nobody likes to hear those numbers, but they were all competitive games. The first two games, you had 3-run leads early, unable to hang on to them. And a quick look back, 5 games, 5 losses, 3 by 1 run, 3 walk-offs. You lose, as you mentioned, you lose the game because of crazy circumstances. Have you ever experienced a week like that in the organization before?
No, I haven't. Yeah, and I thought, all things considered, I thought we actually played pretty well. Our pitching was good. We lost a couple of leads late and got walked off, which was obviously unfortunate. 3 walk-offs in 5 games is tough. And that by the time Sunday came around, I think the boys were kind of ready to be done with the Quad Cities. So excited to be back home for 2 straight. We have some new guys. It's kind of a new team, sort of. We have some new players that have never been here before. And when they walked out here today onto the field, they were super excited. So everybody's back to being glad to be back in Fort Wayne.
Before we talk about some of the new players, let me ask you your thoughts on a couple of the departed players, 2 vital cogs to this team all year long. Alex McCoy, the player of the month in the league in the month of April, a player of the week just a couple of weeks ago. And as I just found out recently, your talented shortstop, Justin DeCrescio, gets a promotion. Your thoughts on how they helped this team here in Fort Wayne, and thoughts on what you think they might be able to do for the rest of the season in San Antonio?
Yeah, it's always bittersweet. We're going to miss those guys. They were obviously very important parts of our lineup. JD hit leadoff most of the time, and McCoy was usually hitting third. But at the same time, our job is development, and so both of those guys earned their graduations, and so they went up to Double-A. I think Mac, he hit 2 homers in his first Double-A game, so he's off to a decent start up there. But yeah, so we'll miss those guys, but that's, it's a team game here, but these guys all have individual aspirations in their careers, so I was happy for both of them.
You're back home this week and next week, and again, these last 3 weeks are going to be kind of on the crazy side because numbers-wise, even though you've lost 8 in a row, you're still in it. You're 8.5 back with 20 games to play, and you know as well as I do, strange things can happen in a short period of time. This week, Great Lakes is in town. You played them a few weeks ago up in Michigan, and you're going to start this homestand by renewing a game that was suspended by rain. After 4 innings, the team is up 6-2, so you got that 4-run lead to work with 3 innings to go. Then a regularly scheduled game, which will be 7 innings tonight, and then the rest of the series through Sunday. You still have a chance to have a say who wins the Eastern Division second half.
Yeah, tonight will be an odd situation when we resume play in the suspended game. We're actually the visitors. But yeah, this will be a big week for us. This will be a big homestand for us. And yeah, until they tell me that we're mathematically eliminated, as far as I'm concerned, we're in the hunt. And so I expect the players to kind of take the same mentality.
And we mentioned some of the players that have been promoted. We just talked about a couple of them. Can you enlighten our listeners just a little bit about some of the new players that have just arrived?
Yeah, new catcher out of George Washington University just this year in the draft named Robbie Levy that's gotten off to impressive starts with us, a couple of homers, and the at-bats look real to me for a 20-year-old kid. It's been pretty impressive. Yoiber Acopio is with us. He's a catcher / first baseman. Bradley Fry will probably start playing shortstop now that DeCricio's gone. Connor Westenberg will be in the outfield, hit probably towards the bottom of the order, but he can really run and bunt and move the baseball around. So, and then on the pitching side, Matthew Watson, who was one of our starters earlier in the year, is back, and Bernard Jose also back in the bullpen for us. So it's a kind of a new group, but we're excited.
3 weeks left, still 20 games. A lot can be decided. How do you, as a manager, address your team? You got to keep their spirits uplifted, and you got to keep the positive hopes going. How difficult would that be for you to get over these next 3 weeks?
You know what? It's a good room in the clubhouse, and so I don't think I have to worry about that too much. I think there's a couple of guys on the team that are pretty vocal leaders, and I think they for the most part, keep everybody in check, and the sense of urgency has been there all year. So, I don't see any reason for that to diminish, and so these guys are professionals, and, I expect them to behave accordingly. We have a game basically every single night, and their job is to show up and play to the best of their ability, and that's what they've done.
Well, you got out of your state. You got out of Iowa, and you're still here, and you're back at home. Good luck not only tonight, but this week. We'll talk again next week when Dayton comes to town, but I always like to say on the air, hope springs eternal, and I still feel that way for this ball club. Anything can happen, so good luck over these next several games.
Thank you.
That's manager Jonathan Mathews. We'll take a break, come back with more in a moment on the Tin Caps Radio Network.
Podcasts by Federated Media.